Hi Potters. Today we're going to be centering the clay. We've already learned how to wedge it and get the clay prepared for centering, and now we're going to center. So the first thing you want to do is, after you've wedged the clay needs to be in either a round, not a brown, but a round ball, or into some kind of a form that's very symmetrical, a mountainous kind of a form. Let me put it into a different position. I'll wedge it a little bit. Clay's a little wet. So when it comes off of wedging, it needs to be symmetrical, or somewhat symmetrical, at least round. You don't want it looking like this. This is not what you want to do when you center. Because if you do, it just makes centering next to impossible or extremely difficult to do that. So get the clay into this mountain position. Eyeball the two screw holes there. With some force, put the clay down into the center of the wheel, and you're ready to go. Now speed needs to be at about a medium to a medium fast speed. Don't go slow, because you'll never get it wedged, or rather get it centered. You need to go medium to a medium fast speed. Hydrating, or adding water, just simply wet your hands and wet the clay. What you don't want to do is have a sponge full of water and saturate the clay until it just falls apart as mud. So just getting your hand in the water, cleaning it up that way. Now, position of the arms and the hands. The elbow gets locked in to the waist, right down there at the hip. The left hand then is positioned around the clay, and you hold it like you would a baseball with your left hand. Or if you're right-handed, with your right hand, depending on left or right hand and which way the wheel is going. But in this case, the wheel is going for a right-handed person. That means your left hand is on the clay. Just like that. The position and the structure of your left hand is that this is a straight line along your arm here down to your thumb, just straight, and your wrist is straight. You don't want your wrist this way. You don't want it this way. See this arch? See this arch in here? You don't want that. You want it straight. So the combination of your elbow into your hip, straightness of your wrist right here, and then your hand across the clay or around the clay is what you need. In this case, my entire hand is on the clay. So now that our left hand is in position this way, put your thumb up in the air, grab your thumb, and put your fist directly over the clay. Your body needs to be as close to the wheel as possible. You don't want to stand way back. If you see a gap between your body and the wheel, that's wrong. You want to be right on top of it, almost centered over it. If you could do that, that's the best position. Physically is more dynamic, and the strength is much greater that way. Elbow into the hip, arm straight, fist in the air, thumb and hand on top here. Then what you do is you push the clay down. We're eventually going into a position like a hockey puck. We're going to move the clay into a position similar to a hockey puck. And you do that by pushing it down, bringing it up, pushing it down. And what this is doing is getting the air bubbles out of it. It's aligning the clay molecules and positioning the clay, centering it so there's no rough rounded edges it's all in round. See how that's floating in there? And then slowly release your hand. Now that's nice and round. So let's do that again. Left hand, arm tucked in, straight at the wrist, thumb in the air, right hand on top of the clay. We're going to push down with the right hand, relax the left hand. Push in with the left hand, relax the right hand so that the clay comes up. And when you're pushing in, you're really pushing in from right here, right at the back, the heel of the hand. You're pushing the clay in. The fingers in the front are just there. push down, and push up. Push down to the hockey puck position. And there it is. Let's do one more part to this. After you've done your last maneuver and you think you're at that point where the clay is centered, you're in that close to that hockey puck, you may find that there's some clay extending down here at the very base that kind of scoops out like a little ski slope. You want to get this removed. Now the way you do this, one way is after your last maneuver, last position, last pressing down, put your hand on there and with this middle finger here, scoop down, bring it down in front of the clay and remove that ski slope. There it is. Make sense? Just bring the finger down. Because what you want to have is this position of the clay to be perpendicular to the bat, straight up and down, a right angle from the bat to the clay. Then you're ready to go. So do this a couple thousand times and you'll have centering done completely. It's very easy if you just follow those simple techniques.